That's a problem for your generation. I didn't have that problem. This young man had 3 Lamborghinis sitting in his turf grass in his 8,000 square foot house. And when I went to shake his hand, it felt like a dead fish. And later that night, he pulled me aside and he was almost trembling in his eyes when he asked me a question just about I couldn't be more proud of who I was in my 20s because my life is absolutely incredible. And a lot of that is on the back of the 25, 26, 27-year-old version of myself. And the advice I would give somebody if they're in a circumstance, because the world's completely different now than it was then. The world changed a lot. Now, if I was a young man, I would go out and find people online that I wanted to be like. And I would spend time with them, listening to their content, watching their life very closely. I'd watch their Instagram. I'd watch their YouTube channel. I'd ask myself, do I want that life? Because now the young men, they have an advantage like no other. They can see other successful people on a very wide scale and model their life out of something outside their household. If you want to go down a path your parents didn't go down, particularly your father, you shouldn't tell your father he's wrong. You shouldn't make him wrong because you need to understand that you have access to something that he very likely didn't. And for that reason, you need to be very graceful. Treat your father with the most respect if you decide to go a different route or you decide not to take his advice. And I'll be really honest with you. My dad calls me, even to this day, worried that I'm getting too big, too fast. He's always done it. He's done it my whole career. I love my dad with all my heart, and I just respectfully do not listen to him and continue to grow. And a lot of the reason I do that is because he doesn't have access to the information I had. And so for that reason, I don't ever want to make him wrong. I just want to make him proud and do the best I can for him.
I think with the access of social media, there is a little bit of an issue with the role models because I guess we have access to so many different people with so many different ideas. It's almost difficult to find out which one is actually going to improve your life. How would you navigate around that?
Yeah, it's tricky. I think what's so bad about what's going on today is that you can rent a Lambo and trick a young man into believing that you have the golden ticket for him to change his life. If I was a young man, or the advice I would give to a young man is to look very, very closely at this individual's history. Did they have a real business in the real world? Did they make money before they were online? Or did they watch a course and regurgitate it and push Facebook ads and get rich off of being a course creator, which is very hard to decipher these days. Let's say it's a real estate guy, for example. If you're looking into getting into real estate and you see like an infomercial on a social media platform, if you can't look back and find that the guy had been doing that business previously, truly doing that business, boots on the ground, struggling through that business, taking the time to grow that business, if you can't find that in some way, then you're very likely getting sold a watered down version of another course. And some guy probably rented a Lambo, and the guy probably doesn't have the experience of a gentleman like a Ken McElroy, let's say, who's been doing real estate for 30 years.
It's easy to say, I want to start a business, I want to be self-employed, yada, yada, yada. But then as soon as you start, you have that fear, that doubt, because nothing is really guaranteed at the end of the day when it comes to business. So can you take us back to those early days, how you felt in the moment? Like, was it always just confidence and almost delusion that you're going to be successful?
I'll take persistence over talent all day. If we were building a video game character for who I'm going to be, raw talent and not quitting were sitting hand in hand, I would pick not quitting all day because raw talent does not save you from getting punched in the face in business. It will help you, it will amplify you, but it will allow you to quit without persistence. Persistence is a thing that is going to get you through all the storms. It's the thing that's going to bring you back again, where you get up again and again and again and again, and then you start to see the patterns in a business and you can start to dodge those punches because you've already been hit by them. But you can't dodge those punches moving forward if you never get off the canvas. Even a talented man can take a hit. Persistence, you can't stop. And so you can acquire the skill set you need to win. And that's what's ultimately going to make you competent, because talent is not competency. Experience and knowing what you're doing makes you competent. And that's what makes you win in the end. It's never going to be raw talent. Even if you have the most raw talent in the world, it's not going to do it.
Do you think it's important in the early stages when you're just starting off to have like-minded people, or should you focus more on building yourself up first?
You should build yourself up first. The best part of all the time that I used to spend with those podcasters when I would drive around and listen to YouTube videos for hours and hours and hours, or read books or listen to books while I'm going from job to job to job, is that I didn't get to talk. I didn't need to talk. I wanted to do YouTube at like 28, but I wasn't ready. I didn't deserve it. I made a promise with myself at 28 when I started really understanding what social media was, that I would not get on social media until I was a liquid multimillionaire. And I think that there should be a law in order to get online and sell courses, like something to prove that you are before you do. But that was a promise I made to myself. And the reason I made that promise is because I didn't think I could do it without feeling like a disingenuous liar. And I picked a business model that was pretty hard, and it took me longer than I expected. And I think that's very normal. But by the time I had figured it out, I was so confident in who I was as a person, and I developed so much from the struggle inside that business, that the person I was was actually more ready than I ever would have been if I'd have started earlier. And I'm very grateful for that.
I think there's a right way to use social media and there's a wrong way to use social media. What sort of advice would you give to somebody younger consuming social media, and how should they be using it?
When it came to business, I would study people that had a life that I wanted. I would go to events and I would buy their courses. Where I'll tell you right now, I promise you I have 7 figures in paying for other people's courses and development and coaching. That is a fact. That is personally what I did. But I would try to start a business. I would shut up about that business unless I needed it for marketing. But as far as being an influencer or a course creator, I wouldn't do that until I had a successful business, until I was doing multi-7 figures and living the life that I wanted and wanted to go to the next level in that regard. Every generation has a new set of opportunities that give them a new set of problems. And I think that your generation is dealing with the fact that it's hard to feel good about yourself when you see a 21-year-old in a Lambo in Miami selling you a course because it makes you feel like you failed. That couldn't be further from the truth. I see it when I'm hiring guys for the steel company. I think to myself, it's like, how is this guy going to feel good about working for me when he goes on his Facebook and sees a guy his same age in Miami driving a Lamborghini? What's going to make him take pride in his job? That's a problem for your generation. I didn't have that problem. If I would have had that problem, I would have had the risk of trying to become an influence before I would even knew how to wipe my ass correctly, or shake a man's hand and look him dead in the eye and say, give me your $1 million contract. You can trust me with your schedule. I have this. I got it. I wouldn't have been ready for that. And you guys are faced with the issue of having the ability to build a huge following, make crazy amounts of money before you ever really have to struggle as a man. Look, bro, you see with these streamers all the time. They get these huge streaming deals. Or I've met guys that make huge crypto pumps. I'll never forget. I was in Dubai. I was with Andrew and Tristan, and we went to a house party. This young man had 3 Lamborghinis sitting in his turf grass in his 8,000 square foot house. And when I went to shake his hand, it felt like a dead fish. And later that night, he pulled me aside and he was almost trembling in his eyes when he asked me a question just about a simple girl. And I could tell he had made all this money. He was with a woman that was way out of his league that he did not know how to handle. And he didn't even know what to do with himself as a 20-something-year-old man, a young 20-something-year-old man. He was frail. I could see it in him. He got that money too quick. And I think that's a major risk and something that you guys go through. And I don't hate you for it. If you would have told me at 22 years old, I could become worth $10 million overnight, you can bet your ass I'd have took the bag. It's just unfortunately something that you guys have to go through and navigate through. And I'm not trying to make you wrong about it. It's just a risk that's there. Let me tell you this, what I'm about to say is very important and needs to be heard and needs to really be taken in by any young man watching this podcast, is that you need to forgive yourself or remove any negative feelings you have about not being a millionaire in your 20s. That, to me, even though it randomly happens sometimes, from my experience, that's not, number one, as real as you think it is. I think a lot of it is LARPing. And then number 2, it's not a realistic expectation. Can you do it? If you work really hard and you get in the right business model, yes, I think you can. But to hate yourself or to be upset with yourself or to feel like you have failed as a man when you were still developing as one is not a good way to look at it. It's not a healthy way to look at it. And to be quite honest with you, it's not even true. What you should be focusing on is the efforts that you're putting into yourself to become that person that you could become in your 30s. I do think that you should be a millionaire by 40. That's very obtainable for the average guy, especially in 2024. But to think that you should be a millionaire at 22 is horseshit. You're not failing. You're seeing a hyped up expectation of what people on social media would want you to believe. A lot of times those young men that are acting like they're so rich, they're not. And they're just trying to trick you into either buying their course or they're trying to trick a bunch of young women into thinking they're a big boss so they can get a couple extra girlfriends. You're not failing. If you're working hard and you're developing yourself and you're studying, becoming better every day, you're doing exactly what you need to do. And I can tell you this from personal experience, you will be shocked at just how far ahead you are of the influencers you meet when you finally meet them. Keep your head down, work your ass off. You're not failing. It's okay. You don't need to be rich right now. Just go to work on you and you'll be ready for everything when the time comes and that opportunity comes in front of you. I just want to give young men that permission because there's buckets in life. There are plenty of people that I know that are substantially richer than me. Like they make me look homeless almost. They're so rich. I wouldn't trade places with them. For men, I believe there's buckets. There's a money bucket, there's style, there's swag, there's networking, there's your fitness, which is a huge one. There's intellect and being intelligent and being able to have a conversation and connect with a person. A lot of these buckets fills up. You can see a guy that's in world-class shape, best fitness guy you ever see on the planet. If he's dead broke, doesn't matter. You can see the richest guy that you'll ever meet, owns skyscrapers, billionaire, whatever. But if he's fat and out of shape and uninteresting and not good to be around, like all the things that you have to develop to be a man, then he's just as worthless as the guy that's in shape that's broke. And so you have to understand it takes a long time to develop all of these different attributes and all of these different categories. For you to think that you're gonna have that all put together, sub 30 years old, is highly unlikely unless you have some kind of special father or special mentor in your life that can directly help you. Now, my goal is that we're helping guys find the right path, but they still have to go do the work on themselves. We don't get to talk to these guys every day. We're just trying to share with them what we saw along our path at that time and just hope that they take what they can from it, what they will, and become the best person they can. But to think that they're gonna have it all figured out at a super young age, it's just not true. And they shouldn't beat themselves up about it. It's not real.
If there is a final sort of message that you could give, if you had to wrap it up in one sentence, what would it be?
When I was 24, I made goals for 30 that I was not yet qualified to make. If you're a young man and you want to create the life that you truly want, you have to give yourself enough grace to understand it might take a minute. That said, you're on the clock. You don't have time to waste because your opportunity is coming to you. So be diligent about studying what you want to become, learning that as deeply as possible, taking care of your body, and being a version of yourself that the older version of you will be incredibly proud of. If you do this, you will live a life that many men will never experience. This is how I look at products, man. It's like, I don't have anything to hide. You should always sell stuff because you believe it works, right? And the reason that I support my friends in the real world is because I know it works. I see these guys posting every day. I talk to these guys. I talk to the professors. I talk to Dylan all the time. I talk to Tristan. They're making money, bro. You literally go to college and get thousands of dollars in debt. What, to get a job that you don't want anyway? Because you go on Instagram and some asshole's making, millions chilling on the beach because he has his own agency or a copywriting business or whatever. Like, if they want to attack Andrew, they can, man. But like, bro, it works. And so for me, I feel good about promoting the real world because I literally see people's lives changing. And that makes me feel good, regardless of losing a channel or getting attacked for it or having people hate me because I support my friends. Well, too fucking bad. The real world actually works. If you're interested in joining the real world, go to the website. And if you don't, it's all good, man. Love you anyway. Watch my content. Hopefully there's something I can help with if it's not the real world. But I really do believe it works because I've seen it myself.
It was like a candy store, man. I was a kid in a candy store. I was like, I've never seen this much information in one place.
You get all these wealth creation methods and they give you a viable step-by-step tutorial on how to achieve them.
I have 3 to 4 clients right now, giving me around $2,500 a month.
Explain to me the results that you got. I believe I'm at 60,000 even now.
How much money are you making now?
These past 12 months, I've been able to make like over 500K.